All right, welcome back to Straight Axle Dubs, everyone. Today I'm going to be going over the top 5 most common part failures you may experience on your air-cooled VW. This is not an exact list. This is not in any specific order. This is just parts that are most common probably to fail, based off of my personal experience and experience of people I know. So the first thing on the list is your fan belt. Now, I want to say 2 different types, depending on whether you have a generator or an alternator on your car, because the alternator one is a bit longer, but you always want to carry a spare one. I think this one's a bit old. Yeah, it's a bit old, and you can see there's like I don't know if it'll pick that up, but there's a tiny bit of cracking in it. You always want to keep a spare one of these at least, because if your belt snaps, first off you lose the ability to charge the vehicle, which you don't want, and you also lose your cooling because your alternator or your generator is connected to your fan, and with no belt your fan doesn't turn and you overheat your car. It's a bad time. It's pretty simple to change. I mean, on this car with my exhaust, it's probably not super easy to change, but you know, all you need is a 19 mil wrench, socket or wrench, but wrench preferred, and a flat blade screwdriver, because there's little slots on the alternator pulley, and you can use those to hold the pulley while you turn it so it doesn't just spin and spin. It's, you know, maybe a 5-minute fix. Depends on, you know, hot motor. It's not going to be super fun to touch. So always carry at least a spare one of these. You know, carry 1 or 2, and always, you know, carry at least tools to be able to change it. You don't need to have like a super big plethora of tools like, you know, some people carry. I'm one of them. So you don't need a super big plethora of things, but you do need the proportionate amount of tools to be able to change a belt. This is your accelerator cable. This is my spare. They are different throughout the different years. On my car, which is a 70, it's the later style pedal assembly, so the hook, the hook on the end of the cable just goes through the end of the pedal assembly. And on the earlier cars, like I don't think you can see it in the shot, but like on my dad's 59 or the 64, it's in the tunnel. A lot of the time what I've noticed, and what happened when I broke my accelerator cable, is typically it doesn't really break like in the middle. It will break at one of the 2 ends. You know, there's 2 ends, so there's the end, the straight end that goes into your barrel nut for your carbs, or dual carbs in my case. And then there's the end that goes into your pedal assembly. Mine broke right at the end right here. So, you know, I was getting ready to leave work, and I get in, I pump the gas, and I notice the pedal sticks, which, you know, it's not normal. So I look, the cable broke. Luckily I was close to home, and what I did, which you should not do, is I turned my idle way up. You know, normally the car idles around maybe 800, 900. I turned it up to maybe 15, 1600 to give the car a high enough idle to where I could idle home in first, which was not fun and pretty dangerous. But I got lucky because my brother was leaving work and he was able to trail me and make sure that no one hit me. But yeah, always carry an accelerator cable. This one, tools. If it's an earlier car, you need a socket or a wrench to take the bolts off the pedal assembly, which I believe are 17s. I can check that. On my car, it's just at the end of the tunnel, and you also need the 8mm nut for the barrel nut to loosen that. But that's for your accelerator cable. Is your points and condenser. This is a big debate. A lot of people now run electronic ignition, but you either run one of those or you have points, which you can see. So the points sit in the distributor. That little slot right there is where the screw goes, and as the distributor turns, the high point on the lobe opens that, obviously not that much, but it opens it, and that creates your spark. Over time, you know, it wears out because it's rubbing against each other, it's friction, so it wears out, and your points probably won't totally fail. They can close up though. When I say close up, you're supposed to have a certain gap for your points to get optimum spark, which I believe is 14 thousandths of an inch. I'm not totally sure. Yes, I believe so. But sometimes, you know, as it wears down, it can close your gap. It's not super hard to adjust. You just need the screw, or you need to be able to pop your distributor cap off, take your rotor off, and then you have some screws for to loosen. I put an Allen because it's easier to get to, but then use your feeler gauge to set the gap, and you're back on down the road. You can also have your condenser fail, which is this. I haven't seen condensers fail too often, you know, maybe once or twice, but those aren't a super common failure item. So I'd say at least carry points, maybe carry a condenser. It's up to you. Next up is, well, this is still going in with points. If you have an electronic ignition, this was the old one I had in my car, a hot spark, which failed, and yeah, if you're gonna buy an electronic ignition, buy Petronix. I had a bad experience with the hot spark customer service, so I'm gonna vouch for Petronix. I put the Petronix in, and it's been treating me well ever since. So these, it's a magnet that passes. There's 4 points on the magnet for the 4 cylinders of the vehicle, and each time one of the points passes, it sends the signal, or it passes this, it sends the signal. These, if this fails, unless it's like one of the wire is breaking, you're not fixing this on the side of the road. You're gonna have to either get a spare set of points in, or just, you know, try to come up with some hillbilly method to get your car started. But then again, if you run one of these, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that run these carry a spare set of points just for this reason. All right, coming up to number 4 is your clutch cable. Now, a lot of these vehicles, pretty much all, I want to say all, but until the 70s, pretty much every Volkswagen was manual, 4-speed, and so you have a clutch cable. Now, there's 2 ends, just like the accelerator cable. There's this end, which goes on the little hook. It's kind of shaped like this on your pedal assembly, and each time it pulls, and then this other end goes on the transmission, and that pulls and, you know, presses on the throwout bearing, releases the clutch, makes that work. Now, the reason I say, you know, along with the accelerator cable, these are both cable driven. You know, these cars were made before hydraulic clutches or whatever were a thing, and so it's cable. You know, it's a cable, and they wear out over time, just like with any part. You know, it stretches a lot when you put, pretty much every time you push your clutch, you kind of stretch it and move it, and so, you know, it can break. What I've seen, it can rub through this end right here, or the hook on your pedal assembly can break, which wouldn't be fun, or sometimes the end that goes on your transmission can break. But it's it depends. I mean, they don't all fail in the same spot typically, but once you fail, you know, you can't shift. And I'm going to take y'all on a little trip for this one. Is your mechanical fuel pump. My car has an electronic pump, so I'm a little bit safer from this one, but the a lot of these cars had mechanical fuel pumps. Now, a fuel pump failure, a lot of time it won't really stop pumping fuel. What happened with this one, and I don't know if you can see it, so that is not the regular fuel pump pin. On this car, the pin which controls the arm inside the fuel pump that actuates it and makes it have, or creates the pressure to pump the fuel, it fell out. And so what my dad did was he took the screw, which I think it was off of some home appliance, and he put it through, and then I think he double nutted it and crush washed it to hold it onto the, or to not hold it, but to fix it. It's probably been like this for 4 years, 5 years. But then again, you may not want it as a super permanent solution, but then again, if you're on the side of the road, you got to do what you got to do to get home. I can show you another example. I talked about accelerator cables, so we can look at my car, where it's hard to see, but you look, the cable just goes through to that arm on the pedal, and then on the 64 right here, ooh, you can kind of, it's harder to see, but yeah, it's connected to an arm right there that goes into the tunnel. More ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. Then again, these aren't in a particular order. It's not like, oh, you have to have this or you have to have this. It's more of these are things that are good to have. Again, carry appropriate tools to be able to change whatever part if you have to. Like for your belt, carry a 19 mil or whatever other size it is. I think they only did 19. For your accelerator pump, for your accelerator cable, carry the wrench, and then I think probably screwdrivers and pick tools and a pick tool to change that. Clutch cable, you need the bolts to be able to take your pedal assembly out, and then for your points, you know, carry tools for those. But yeah, those are the top 5 most common part failures. I'll go over the list one more time. We had your fan belt, your accelerator cable, your points, your clutch cable, and your fuel pump. So that's the order. If y'all enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video to your friends, to people you know, to spread the word. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.